last night on The Bachelorette.
Thank you. I just hope that we keep kind of riding this high.
Everyone's rejected me week after week after week.
Beautiful. Like the greenery. I love it. I love the old brick.
I feel like I'm just like getting dealt really bad cards.
Oh my God, I smell waffles.
Just don't even know why I'm here.
Put themselves out there and to make her feel wanted. So that's what I'm trying to do. And she looks amazing.
Literally just I'm like such a failure as a bachelorette.
Do you like it?
I don't want to do this anymore.
So, cheers to a great night and let's have some fun.
It's week 5 of The Bachelorette, and the gang has set sail from Paris and is now in Bruges. And at this point in the season, everything is coming up Gabby. As for Rachel, well, she's hanging in there, and no one knows that better than Logan here.
This has been a hard couple weeks for Rachel, and we all want her to smile and enjoy her time, and like I want those things for her too.
So as a man who wants Rachel to smile and enjoy her time, he decides it's a good idea to walk on over and deliver another blow to Rachel's confidence by telling her he actually wants to be with Gabby.
Everyone else on that card was sure that you were going to be someone who they could end up with at the end of this. Well, I still had reservations and feelings for Gabby.
Now, Rachel takes this surprisingly well. Her main complaint is that she's already handed out like a bunch of roses to this guy. Couldn't he have brought this up sooner, especially if it's something that stems all the way back to episode 2?
It's also not something that I've been sure of until recently.
Now, were you sure of it before or after you got a rose from her last episode? Let's play the tape.
Tonight at the cocktail party, I'm going to have a conversation with Gabby and express my feelings for her.
That's what I thought. So Logan says he can't go on the group date today, and Rachel is left to cry on her bed while the camera guy just stands there filming the whole thing. All the while, the rest of Rachel's men are exploring Bruges, taking in the smell of Belgian chocolates and waffles, saying hi to horsies.
Hi, horses.
That would be me, and no one has any idea of what's going on back at the hotel where Jesse's come to check in on Rachel.
I feel like I'm like failing in the role as the bachelorette.
Remember, there's no playbook for this thing.
I know. I wish there was.
I do too.
Obviously, Jesse Palmer didn't watch Michelle's season of The Bachelorette, cause apparently there is. So Jesse Palmer heads into town to meet up with the men who apparently have just been wandering around this whole time, and he tells them the bad news.
I know you guys were excited to see Rachel and not me, but I did have to come here to tell you that, unfortunately, Rachel has decided to cancel today's date.
Yup, yet another date/cocktail party has been cancelled. Is it me, or does it seem as though every time the men walk up to a date, it's like...
That's okay, we can get the next one. Let's see it. Canceled. What is going on?
Well, the guys are sad. Now they don't get to spend the day creating fond memories with Rachel wrestling together in a bunch of melted Belgian chocolate. So, as the men sulk back to the cruise ship, Logan has arrived at Gabby's cabin to tell her how he feels.
When I met you at your mansion, like I was like on fire for you that first night. And I was hopeful that you would give me a rose.
Yeah.
So Logan goes on some long-winded speech, and both Gabby and I are watching like...
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not asking that like...
Yeah.
And, well, eventually, it's Gabby's turn to speak, and she tells Logan that he was essentially the only overlap in terms of guys that both Rachel and her were into, but that she'd want to speak to Rachel first before she goes any further. So Gabby meets up with Rachel, who goes on a long-winded speech about how humiliating this is, and about how she didn't go on the group date, and both Gabby and I are watching like...
Yeah.
I feel like a fan. Oh, the date. This is humiliating.
Yeah.
So eventually, Gabby says she doesn't want Rachel to have to see Logan and this be a problem, but Rachel insists she should follow her heart.
I don't want you to be thinking about me so much that you, like, if you genuinely think something could be there, that you lose it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And yeah, I know Logan's a butthead, but Rachel did give Hayden a rose after he called Gabby rough around the edges, and she told Rachel about it, so just saying. Anyways, it's now time for the night portion, or I guess the only portion of Rachel's group date, where the men are hoping to make the most of this night as long as it doesn't get cancelled. And after Rachel explains the whole Logan situation, the men all go the extra mile in order to make sure Rachel feels the love. Well, everyone except Tino, who's kind of been sulking ever since he found out he wouldn't get to go chocolate mud wrestling.
Today, hurt a little bit. Like, it made me feel a little unseen. I feel like our relationship at this point has gotten to the point where, like, we can talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel loves that Tino wants to talk with her even at her worst, and she swoons. I mean, at this point, I feel like Tino could be giving a 3-hour presentation on the difference between macro and microeconomics, and afterwards, Rachel would say,
I literally look forward to every single time we get to spend together.
So it's no surprise when Tino gets the group date rose. Moving on to Gabby's group date. Here, Gabby and her men will be exploring Bruges by boat, enjoying some waffles, playing soccer with Belgian kids and grabbing them for some reason.
No, wait, it's okay.
Oh, and of course, they'll be slapping each other with fish. And it's here where Nate's inner 5-year-old comes out yet again.
I feel like Gabby likes me. Yeah, she was feeling you. She didn't want you to see you slapped by us, but you know what? YOLO! For sure.
But it's the night portion of the group date where things really get interesting. As lo and behold, look who shows up.
Yeah, what side of the block you on?
What is going on?
How's everybody?
So Logan arrives to tell everyone he's now a Team Gabby guy going forward, leaving all the rest of the men like,
Sure.
but keep your eyes on the prize, gents. A rose is on the line, and you can't spend too much time focusing on Logan, or you might miss out. Cause Logan seems to have picked things up right where he left off with Gabby, and that rose could be his. But alas, Fishboy Nate keeps his focus in his time with Gabby, earning him the group date rose for the night. But all the while, the arrival of Logan has still shaken up the rest of the guys, as that's one more man who could take a rose. Next up, though, is Rachel's date and her one-on-one for the week with Avon. The two take a horse-drawn carriage to a chocolate shop before they engage in a Bachelor classic, getting sage love advice from random elders they met on the street, who apparently tell them just put on a veil and you're good. At the dinner portion of their date, Avon opens up about his parents' separation, having to spend his childhood living with his dad, and not being close with his mom until he got older. But since then, they've turned their relationship around, so he gives Rachel a bracelet his mom made for him in the hopes that this might turn around her experience as well. A gesture that warms Rachel so much she has a gift for him too, a rose. And with that, the two get to go and make out in front of some fireworks, and we can move on to the final one-on-one for the episode. This time with Gabby and Johnny. And while Gabby has a fun connection with Johnny, what she's really looking for is balance. Johnny's a serious guy, but can he also be goofy? Can he open up? So on this date, the two will be enjoying some Belgian beer, followed by a beer-themed spa date, where instead of soaking themselves in the beer, they drink it and then do this.
Yes.
Love it.
Nice.
Harder.
Do you like it? You have me in my face.
No free ride.
So yeah, the goofy side seems to be there. But as they head into the night portion of the date, the one thing missing for Gabby is seeing Johnny's vulnerable side. Which means it's time for Gabby to do some probing.
Do you feel like you're just like kind of guarded, or it takes you a while just as a person to be weird?
Freak.
So Johnny says, yeah, both. And that's because most of the time when he's been in a relationship, the moment he's let down his guard is the moment that they've left him. And so he struggles with confidence, especially in sharing and connecting with others. Something Gabby says that she relates to as well.
I've struggled a lot with anxiety and depression in my life, and I've had to relearn so many things that I didn't get to learn as a kid.
And really, Johnny here has ticked off that last vulnerability box for Gabby. So there's nothing left to do now but hand out the rose and go running through the streets of Bruges. Which also means we're now moving on to the rose ceremony for the episode, where the gents will all be together for the first time since Logan swapped teams. And here, the pressure is on because after this, there's only one more week until hometowns. So Gabby and Rachel arrive, and by some miracle, this cocktail party isn't cancelled. Nate sits down with Gabby first, who has a gift for Nate's daughter.
It's Belgian chocolate for your daughter. I know you really miss her.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Adorable. But as Gabby continues on to connect more with Jason and Eric, Logan is feeling like the roses are being quickly grabbed up, and there's not a lot of room left for him. So he pulls out the most romantic game he could think of.
No, we're on the same cadence. Okay, thank God.
Okay.
This man's a genius. So after losing to Gabby, Logan lets her slap him in the face with a fish, and by gosh, it works.
You can smell the fish.
Just smell that.
You can't keep getting away with it!
But will this be enough? Remember, Logan is still a couple of weeks behind the other guys. So as we head into the rose ceremony, we have 8 men on Gabby's side and 6 with Rachel. 2 will leave for Gabby and 1 for Rachel. And as the roses are handed out, for Team Rachel, it comes down to Meatball and Ethan.
Ethan?
I love you, Bob.
Oh, poor Meatball. Maybe we'll learn your real name in paradise. And as for Gabby, things come down to Michael, First Impression Rose recipient Mario, and of course, Logan.
Logan.
Logan lives another day. The remaining Gabby guys are surprised, but there's still a long way to go for him if he's gonna get a hometown. And if the big juicy mid-season preview is to be believed, he might be packing his bags sooner than you think.
Yeah. Humiliating.
So that's it for this recap of week 5 of The Bachelorette. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give the video a like, let me know your thoughts on the episode below, and subscribe to the channel for more content. And until next time, Bachelor Fantake out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I asked that, like...
Yeah. No.